Good morning, welcome to the May Day bank holiday as the oak buds begin to burst. Look at that. The familiar rounded form of the oak leaf already there as these infant leaves peep out and May breaks. I trust that you're putting your feet up today or doing some such other useful task. Welcome not only to going to ground, but to the medieval lost village of Shaw. Here it is. Not a great deal to see, but this is the site of a former community marked on the OS map, and with a few little traces of former settlement. I've broken free of the West Woods and followed the Wansdyke path up to this place, which I recce'd out last summer on a beautiful warm June morning, and have been wanting to show you it for ages. The idea of a lost village is deeply attractive, isn't it? When I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, there was a series of books around the lost villages of England. David Muir, I think, was it, or Richard Muir? And other landscape historians discerning in the lines and lumps and ridges of the fields the patterns of former communities. And I've got most of those books and have always been interested in it, not only in finding and seeing those places, but also the emotional, spiritual side of it, where, if you like, there's a lost village inside all of us. We're all looking for that belonging, that settlement, and the idea of a settlement that you can't quite find but is there somewhere is a real, that's something really deep inside our internal soul's compass. And so I've come out here to try and trace something of that, and there's an atmosphere here. Now, whether that's because I'm ready to pick that up, it's I'm suggestible to it, if you see what I mean, because I know that there was a community here, so I'm prepared to find signs of that. I think that happens quite a lot, doesn't it? If I'd have just stumbled upon a field and hadn't known any of the background, I'd have just, this is a curious bit of scrubland between two fields. But actually there are both physical signs, and there's a curious, I felt it last summer, a sort of suspension here, an absence. Conspicuous absence is all I could describe it as. And there are some deep pathways meandering through the field in a curious way that suggests that they've gone round other lumps and lines. Behind me here you'll see, so this is the sort of thing that the earthworks that are here, you might get a sense of that ditch there. It's not the Wansdyke, but it's a line of possibly a former building or street or something like that. So it's an up and downy, inscribed kind of place, if you see what I mean. The land has clearly been worked, and they're not cultivated. Interesting. I think it may have been a plague village. Some of you might know, lots of these hamlets couldn't survive the Black Death, and I think it's around about the 14th century that this was last inhabited. Absolutely fascinating. And of course, usually and naturally we look for our lost belonging in the past. That's the inevitable way of doing it, picking up the clues from where people have belonged. But also I think we can do that, particularly thinking of the connection to the Christian story. We can do that in finding the lost villages of the future. Let me tell you what I mean by that. In the Christian narrative, of course, we're heading for a better place, the New Jerusalem, the lost city of Jerusalem. And that narrative of actually progressing somewhere, not only seeking our belonging in what has been that Eden of the past, but we're drawn forward to not be too settled here, because we're being called forward to somewhere else. And that was really formative, deeply formative of the Western idea of progress that influenced all kinds of things in our society over the last few hundred years. And I think that we need to recover a little bit more of that, as you might imagine. And I think we can do that in looking for traces of the place to come, and bearing in mind that our belonging is not only in the past, but actually the settlement that we long for is ahead of us. And certainly in my job, I'm spending a lot of time trying to discern the form of new communities. I'm reviewing how the parish system works and how we can sustain viable communities, and therefore I'm doing just this. I'm looking for the lost villages of the future. How can we create actually communities, and what are the signs and the clues to that we see in the present? The Bible describes the work of the Holy Spirit as the one who gives us a little bit of a clue, a little bit of a signpost, an indication, a map if you like, to the places of the future. As if there were I don't know, looking at the OS map and seeing those dotted lines that indicate the former settlement here in Shaw, as if there were other little traces that could be marked on a map that said this could be the community of the future. I think that's a hopeful thing to do. We can do it personally in not only retreating into the past, but looking forward to the belonging that lies ahead. So there's more to say around that, and it's such an interesting theme that we'll revisit it. But for now, enjoy the bank holiday, and from the lost village of Shaw, God bless you as you go to ground.